Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hello, Allison. All right. Let's see. First of all, Ashanti, it's nice to see you, but I'm going to ask that you turn your video off because the video feeds take up so much space when we record them that
Okay.
it is hard for people to pull them up. I'm going to turn this into a YouTube for
Okay.
anybody who's not there. So unless you want to sing and dance for the entire
No, ma'am.
to, to to entertain everybody this morning. Hi, Allison. How are you? Good to see you. All right, let me share screen here so that. All right. Okay. So, can you guys see this screen? You should be looking at my Remington screen, and I'm going to get back to our course. There we go. All right. Can everybody see the course?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Excellent. All right. Let me minimize this down here. Okay. All right. So this is leadership class. For the next 5 weeks, we are going to be together in a class about leadership. And I've been watching and reading some of the posts that you guys have been putting in there already for your first discussion board of the week. And I can see that most of you have had some pretty interesting experiences with leadership already. So that's great because bringing some real life experience to these classes, I think, is one of the things that makes them more interesting. When you can actually share how the topics that we're talking about have been seen in your life and in your career already, and then also to learn some things from other people that you can then take and maybe use and apply in the situations that you are in now or the situations that you will be in down the road when maybe you make some changes in your current employment situation, I think is a really, really good thing. So a couple of terms ago, probably you guys realized that some of the classes here at Remington went back to this idea of a live meeting presentation. And so what we have here is in this particular class, there is a live session that we're going to have each week. So what we will do is get together, and it's hard, even though we're not a really big class, it's hard to find times where everybody is available because we've got, you know, differences in time zones, differences in work schedules. Some of you may be working days, some of you may be working evenings, some of you may be working weekends, some of you are full time students. So, trying to find a time that works for everybody isn't necessarily always doable. So, what I usually try to do is a couple of days and a couple of evenings during the term, and hopefully we can hit onto some people's schedules. The good thing about these is that if you're not able to attend live, then we turn it into a YouTube that you can go ahead and listen to at any time during the week, and then go ahead and do a quick synopsis of what it is that we talked about in order to earn the points for the live meeting portion of the week. So if you can make it, that's excellent. If you can't make it, then I understand. We are coming into, well, I was going to say, we are coming into a really busy time of year. Guess what? We're in a really busy time of year. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of the winter holidays are right upon us. The kids will be getting out of school. There's shopping, there's friends, family, hopefully some good things that you guys are looking forward to in the next couple weeks. So, we're going to get together and have a meeting once a week to go over what is happening in the classroom. and for me to kind of give you some hints and tips on how to tackle some of these tasks that you are going to be working on. Now, these meetings are designed to be pretty quick in nature. They're supposed to be 30 minutes or less each week, and I try not to overburden you with listening to an archived meeting or with the information. So basically what I try to do is go in and pull up the week that we are in and take a look at your tasks and let you, talk to me about the things that you see as, important in the tasks. And if you have some questions, then you can certainly type them into a chat pod, and I'm very happy to address those. If you know that you're not going to be able to be in one of the live chats, you can send me an email ahead of time and say, hey, Professor Faust, I'm a little bit, unsure about what's going on in this week's paper. Could you address that in the live meeting? And I will certainly do that, as provided that you get me that information, obviously, before we have the weekly meeting. I'm going to try to do them early on in the week so that that gives you guys as much time to listen to the information as possible and use it when you are working through your tasks. Now, this week we're doing it a little bit later because I wanted to give everybody a chance to come on in and get used to the class, number one. Let's see. Okay, Allison, good. Allison figured it out. So I wanted to give you a couple days to get used to what was going on. And, sometimes when we come back after a break, it's a little bit hard to get going again. But hopefully you are ready for leadership. All right, any questions that you have that I can answer for you at this point in time? Allison and Ashante, I see that I still have both of you here. If you have any questions that you want me to answer for you, feel free to type and let me know what's going on. Otherwise, let's go ahead and take a look at these discussions. I'm really proud that even though we're at the very beginning of the term, that so many of you have already come in and been working on your first discussion boards of the term. Now, most of you know me from another class or two or three along the way, and I think a lot of you know each other as well. So I think that's made it a little bit easier. The icebreaker we didn't really necessarily need because you guys, I think, are used to working with each other in classes. So we already have 9 discussions going. The discussion is about giving an example of how you exerted leadership, either in a job situation or in a different situation where you didn't have a formal leadership position. And all of you so far have come in and talked about that. Leadership is kind of a funny thing. We may think that leadership has to be formalized. I start a job and I'm hired as a manager and I operate as a manager, and I knew going in that this is exactly what I was getting myself into. The situations that most of you have described are things where you certainly had no intention necessarily of, or at least no knowledge ahead of time, that you were going to be in the situation that you were in. And I think that the mark of good leaders is the ability to be able to jump in and tackle something when you really had no idea that it was happening. For those of you who are in a leadership position now, you know that being in management, some people say, oh, that's such a great job. It's so glamorous. You get to be in charge. You get to tell people what to do, and you're the one who everybody listens to. It's not necessarily a glamorous job, and it's not necessarily an easy job. And lots of times, once you are looked at as a leader, people come to you for things that are totally unrelated to what you supposedly have a leadership role in doing. I think people are attracted to people who just exert a confidence enough to be a leader, no matter what the topic is that you're leading about. I think probably a lot of you would agree that once you showed the ability to step up and be a leader in a position that you didn't expect to have to take a leadership role in, more and more people then started seeing you as the go-to person, the expert. Oh, well, gee, John stepped up and dealt with a situation that nobody else could. So now John must be a great leader. So let's go to him about A, B, and C too. So that's kind of one of the unintended consequences, maybe, of stepping up into a leadership role when you didn't expect to, is that people now see you as highly capable. And that is a good thing that can impress your coworkers. It can impress the people who have the ability to promote you. It can impress people in your personal life and in organizations that you may be a part of. So I think that first discussion board was a good one for us to start out with, because it shows how leadership, once you undertake it, can really grow into a lot of different things that you might not have expected. All right, so that is the first discussion board of the term. The second one says, identify a business, government, education, or sports leader with whom you perceive to be charismatic. Who do you perceive to be charismatic? One of the biggest things that you will find about leaders is that people like to follow people who they feel are charismatic. They like to feel that the person who is leading them is a person who is going to be attractive to other people. And I don't necessarily mean physically attractive, but who has the kind of personality that makes you want to follow them. So you will find politicians, you will find teachers, you'll find people who are sports athletes who, because of the way that they conduct themselves, they just naturally attract other people to them. I'll give you an example of someone who I have followed in football, and that is Tim Tebow. A lot of you probably are aware of who Tim Tebow is. He was a great quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner out of the University of Florida, and didn't have such a great NFL career. And I always say to people, it's too bad that some team hasn't picked up Tim Tebow, because he is such a good role model to kids and to even to adults. And that there are so many people in sports who kids look up to, who, in my estimation and in the estimation of a lot of people, are not necessarily good role models. Now, Tim Tebow is certainly not the only good guy out there in football. There are a lot of people that you hear about who are in positions of authority, and that authority is either perceived or actual authority. I don't, if you look at the world of sports, no one comes right out and gives an athlete much authority, except maybe, to be the captain of the team. But there's a lot of quote-unquote authority that seems to be given to athletes because people look up to them and because they see them as people who have been successful. And so a lot of kids especially walk around saying, I want to be just like, Kobe Bryant. I want to be just like Tom Brady. I want to be just like Aaron Rodgers. And so when those people who are in that position are good people and are charismatic, that's a bonus. Now, charisma doesn't necessarily have to be a positive thing. You probably can think of someone that you've dealt with, either in a work situation or a personal situation, who is pretty darn charismatic, but not necessarily the best person you ever knew. There are people out there who persuade people to do things that they want to get done. There are people out there who persuade people to do things that maybe are in their best interest, but not in the best interest of the person who's following necessarily. So charisma can be a little bit of a double-edged sword. It can be a good thing, or it can be like everything else. It can be used for not such good intentions. All right. So for these discussions, you'll see that we have a couple of them each week. It's great to see everybody participating early. You need to have your main post done by the due date so that everybody has a couple of days after that to come in and do some thoughtful comments to you. 250 words at least for your main post. So keep that in mind. That's probably the thing that people fall down on the most with discussions, is not meeting at least the minimum deliverable. The idea is for you to do some thinking about these topics and to answer them in a thoughtful manner that is going to meet the deliverable length and provoke other people to come in and want to interact with what you've had to say and keep the discussion going. Okay, so Allison or Ashante, any questions about these first two discussions of the week?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Allison, any questions? If not, then go ahead and let's see. Okay, great. Thanks, Allison. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the paper that you have for this week. Now, one of the first things that you need to do is watch the deliverable. In week number 1, the deliverable is less than it is in the following week. So don't be lulled into a sense of complacency that, oh, this one's only 250 to 300 words, because they do go up starting next week. Describe the impact of leadership within 21st century companies. Describe how you expect the role of leadership to evolve during the years ahead. It's no surprise to anybody that leadership is having to change. The world is changing. The business world is changing. I mean, look at what we're doing right here. I am online at my house talking to you guys. You guys are at work or at your home, and you are taking a class. Now, more and more companies are letting people telecommute. More and more international companies are able to have a presence in a country outside of the country that they started in by having people work remotely. So leadership in the 21st century in business has to change and evolve. It's not necessarily the case that everybody who you are going to be a leader for is going to see you on a daily basis or even a weekly basis, a monthly basis. There are lots of companies out there who have people leading other people who they've never met and may never meet because of the fact that these companies are international and the workers are spread out all over the place. How does that change how a leader needs to lead? Is it a different situation to have your workers, the people who may be reporting to you or who look to you for leadership, not be people who are local? Does it change things if you are an international company and you have people all over the world? Well, let's face it, each one of us grew up in a certain society and a certain type of ethnic and ethical viewpoint. So if you are used to U.S. culture and the way that businesses are handled here, and now suddenly you are leading people from a very different ethnic background, cultural background, social background, how is that going to change up your leadership style? So think about some of those things. Work on this first paper. Again, this one is a little bit shorter, 250 to 300 words. Give your thoughts and ideas. With the papers, make sure that you are formatting them correctly. There should be a title page, and then there should be an introduction, a body of your paper, and a conclusion. That should be APA formatted, double spaced, 1-inch margins. And then you should have a reference page. Everything that you turn in should include some sources of research. What did you research and look at in order to help form your opinions about the topics? So turn that in for Sunday, and that will be your first paper. Any questions about those, ladies?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Allison, any questions about the paper? No? Okay. All right. Again, like I said, most of you have been through classes with me before, and I know you're all great students. So I don't expect you to have much trouble with these topics. All right. Remember also there is a quiz that you will be working on each week. So don't forget to do that. I always tell people I think it's best to tackle the quiz later on in the week so that you have the topics kind of fresh in your head and that you've done some research and reading. I think if you try to tackle the quiz at the beginning of the week, it can be a little bit harder because you haven't really done the work for the week yet to be all that familiar with the topics. The other thing I tell people is, take your time with a quiz. Don't worry about having to take a deep breath and read the question a couple of times. Don't freak out if you don't know it the first time. You're not going to know everything the first time you're in school and you're learning. So take a deep breath, use a little bit of common sense, and don't be so worried about the time. All right, so I think that's probably enough information to get us going this week. What I would like to do is next week set up a time that's probably going to be, I would say, on a Monday or Tuesday. We might do Tuesday next week and see if I can hit some other people's schedules. We'll do the same thing that we did for this week. I will put an announcement up that has a link to our meeting. Now remember, I am in the Central Time Zone, so these meeting times are Central Time, and it does say that on the invitation, but you have to think about that if you are not in the Central Time Zone, that if you're on the East Coast, then Central Time is an hour behind you. If you're on the West Coast, then Central Time is 2 hours ahead of you. So take that into consideration when you get ready to attend. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask one more time if there are any questions. If not, I'm going to go ahead and close this out for the week and turn it into a YouTube and get it posted for those who were not able to be here. And be on the lookout. The news forum is one of your best friends in the classrooms. That's where I post things to let you know timing of these meetings and any other things that may be important as we go through the term. All right, so ladies, any last comments or questions? Ashanti?
Just to be sure, when we are present for the live session, we don't have to do the summary.
Yes, that is correct. If you are
Okay.
present for the live session, then what I do is once we're done with the live session, I go in and I will post the points for those of you who were here.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Well, then everybody have a great week. Welcome back to classes. Like I said, I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving and are ready to tackle the tasks that we have here in the next few weeks and learn some new stuff about leadership. So, everyone, take care. Have a great weekend. Let me know. Email me. Let me know if you have any problems or any questions. And again, if you think that you're not going to be able to come to the live sessions, but you have a question that you would like answered, get it sent to me, and I will be happy to address that in our next live session together. So, ladies, have a wonderful day. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.